Welcome to Healing Your Family Legacy, here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Innovative, evidence-based recovery that helps to identify intergenerational trauma, allowing for freedom and embracement of the healing process. Today, episode 156, The 90-Day Rule for Dating, Part 2. And now your host, Dr. Donna Bevan-Lee.
And this is Dr. Donna Bevan-Lee, helping you heal your family legacy. And last time I ended with talking about why we women, think that, okay, once we're sexual with somebody, now we're thinking about, how our lives are going to be and what we're going to be like when we're 80 and which rocking chair we're going to have and all this kind of deal. And sometimes men do that too. But I had been having a conversation with a woman who was probably about 35 who asked me, who just asked me, why do you think that's true? Because it's still true. I said, well, I think it's true because that's how we're socialized. Even as young children, when, a little girl wants to have a baby doll, everyone just thinks that's so cute, and she's pushing him around or it around in a little stroller and dressing it up and and all that kind of stuff that little girls do. That when we see a little boy do that, we comment on it even more. Wow, look at that. Yeah, little guy do that. That's so cute, blah, blah, blah. With little girls, we all comment on it. The comments are different. Oh, she'll look at her, how she does that. For a little boy, wow, look at him do that. Okay, so it's set up that, that is still one of our wants, our desires. And if we're adults, say, come out of a divorce or a breakup of a relationship, or even if we're, our first time out, we want to make good decisions about that. Because once you have sexual intimacy, it changes everything. It's like it changes how you feel, it changes what you think. Oh, let's say you have sexual intimacy and you find out that it doesn't really do anything for you. It's not what you really wanted. You thought you did, but you didn't. Guess what? Now you've taken this relationship to another level. And when you tell that person, if you're being honest with yourself, if you tell that person, I'm sorry, this isn't going to work for me, and wish them well, you don't know how they're going to act, because if you haven't done at least the 90-day rule, you have no idea how they're going to behave if they feel rejected. You don't know. And if you haven't really had long conversations with them about their prior relationships, and you feel like they're being honest with you, you don't know how they're going to behave. Yeah, I always tell people, when you're in that 90-day rule, you do want to spend time together. You want to talk to each other. Don't do it all texting, please. Text to determine time, where you're going to meet, when you're going to meet, where you're going to go, whatever. But not real. Like, how do you feel about, say, raising our children Catholic, right? Don't have that conversation on text. No. N-O. That's a conversation you have in this 90-day period. You think about this. In this 90, I'm attracted to this person. I want to go out with them. And so once we have decided to go out and be exclusive, okay, now we're talking about what's the nature of the relationship. Once you are exclusive, now the 90-day rule starts. Not right when you're dating them, not when you're having a coffee date. Once you've decided you're going to date exclusively, that's when the 90-day rule starts. Before the decision to be exclusive occurs, Sex is off the table. We're not even having the conversation. I'm not. And, in fact, if you're pushing me to have sex and we're not exclusive, you might have a sex addiction. Because why in the heck would you want to be sexual, have a very intimate experience with somebody you don't know? Okay? Most of us feel like our sexuality is pretty personal. We don't want to share that with just everybody. Okay? Unless you've had sexual trauma in your childhood, chances are pretty good you really you really know how to say no. Now, in my generation, women weren't trained to say no. Most of us had no idea we could say no. Okay? So we had to make up stories about, well, all kinds of weird stuff. But nowadays, women know how to say no. Women who are in the generation just younger than me know how to say no. And so if you say no and they insist, beat feet out of there. And you don't even need to make up an excuse. Now, sometimes on first or even second dates, people will have like an automatic out if they need it. To me, an automatic out is that, okay, I'm done here. I'll see you around. But not everybody feels that they can do that. So you say, well, your friend is going to call you at 10 o'clock or, after you've been there an hour and say, how's it going? And do you need me to come and get you? Or do you need me to give you an excuse? Or do you need me to do whatever? And that's fine. Because sometimes if you don't know how that person's going to behave, you might not want to, like say, oh, I don't think I like you very much. And sometimes you don't need to. You just say, this isn't working for me. This isn't going to work for me. And if that's early on, you really don't owe them an excuse. And I mean early on, like you've had 1 or 2 dates. And, it's also lame if you're an adult to say, oh, let's just be friends. If you don't have friends and you need this person to be a friend, then you might want to say to yourself, gee, it's like, I dated this person, they're not interested anymore, and now they want to be friends. Do I want to be friends with them? And how come I don't have any friends? I might want to look at that, okay? So you can learn a lot about yourself in those 90 days. But see, you're not going to learn anything that's real if you're sexually involved in an exclusive relationship before you finish the 90 days. Most of the time, what people have reported back to me who've actually done this, it's like, okay, I've met this person. I really like them. We had a coffee date. We're going to go out and have dinner. We're going on a hike. We're going to go watch a basketball game, whatever. By the way, that's all public now, isn't it? So we're going to do this public thing. And so they keep doing that. And then she or he comes back and says, okay, it's going really well. We've decided to be exclusive. And, I say, great. That means you can really start to find out who you are with. Not, oh, we're having fun and we really enjoy this. I'm talking about who is this person. Okay? So now you're going to be more of a detective, and you need to ask some really might be feeling like difficult questions, but you probably are going to have to really dig into who is this person. Like, so tell me about your past relationships. What were they like? How did you meet them? How did it end? And this is key. If they say, well, it ended because, he or she said, I'm not interested in you. And this is a relationship that lasted for more than a few dates. You say, okay, so that was it? Nothing? Or you say, well, he or she did this, or he or she did that, or he or she did this, and I'm a victim. Then you say to yourself, do I want to be in a relationship with a victim? Do I want to be in a relationship who views themselves as a victim? Because that can be a red flag. That can be a flag that says, this person cannot be accountable for their own behavior in a relationship. And trust me when I tell you, there will be conflict. There has to be. If there's too much conflict and it's too hard to be in a relationship, beat feet out of there. Do not stick around. But if you're not being sexual, if you're not having sexual intimacy, anything more than holding hands, okay, for 90 days while you're finding out about this person, and you say to yourself, geez, I notice that even when they talk about their work situation, they're always a victim. And in those past 2 relationships, they got, it's like they viewed themselves as a victim. And knowing that there will be conflict in a relationship, are they going to leave as soon as there's conflict and say that I abuse them and that, they're completely pure in all of this? Or am I going to say, no, I don't think I want to do that. I don't want to be the offender to this person who I might, offend or even micro offend. And then all of a sudden they're a victim. Being an adult in this world means that it's up to you to decide how you're going to be around people and whether or not you want to be around them. And if you find out that everybody that you talk to does some kind of offending at you or micro offends you, you're going to be all by yourself. Because people act and say things that sometimes are not in your wheelhouse, not in your generation, not in the way that you view the world. And if that just offends you versus, gee, that's interesting, I'd like to know more about that. And, and I'm not talking about people calling you names or, saying you should be dead because you're the wrong gender or the wrong religion or whatever. I'm talking about just basic differences. And if we can't have a conversation about that without you feeling like I've become an offender, then I am moving on. I don't want to have to walk on eggshells in a relationship, do you? And so you're asking and you are paying attention. Now you might say, well, how can I know? Well, okay. How? So here's how you know if a person is lying to you. I've said this before. I'll probably say it many times again. If they're telling you something and you're saying, wait, I don't understand that. Now, unless it's something that's brand new to you, that's novel, you've never heard this before, and so you want to know more about it, that's one thing. But if it's something that, wait a minute, that doesn't jive with who you've been telling me you are or how you've been telling me you're on this planet, now you're telling me this, now I know that you're either manipulating me and you're definitely lying to me. Okay? That is a thing that happens in your brain. And you need to pay attention to that. That's called intuition. And it's also called putting your brain to work for you. And, you want to know, does this person do what they say they're going to do? Do they act the way that they're telling you they act? Are they respectful? And respect doesn't mean that they can guess what you're thinking or what will upset you. Respect means that if they say something and you say, that hurt my feelings, that hurt me in some way, or, that didn't feel good, that they say, well, tell me about that. What was it about that? They want to know who you are. That is respect. If they're asking you about you, that's a good thing too, because now you know that both of you are trying to find out, who are you? Because if I'm going to have an intimate, long-term relationship with you, I want to know who I'm with. And I can't see once we're sexual. My eyes go kind of blind. All of a sudden, everything you do is wonderful. I tell people in those 90 days, find out things that you don't like about that person. And if you can't come up with anything, move on. Because that means there's something going on with you. You probably need to figure that out. Because, it's like every person has quirks or tics or whatever that bothers the other person. Or that, they go, wait, I don't like that. You just take note of it. You could also bring it up if you want, but it's like, take note of it. And at the end of the 90 days, before you even open discussion about taking the relationship farther with intimacy, right? And how you're going to do that and what you're going to do and what the rules are and all that other kind of stuff. You want to say to yourself and be honest with yourself, because you're making a decision that will affect you. You want to ask yourself this question: can I embrace those things? Not can I accept them, not can I live with them, can I embrace them? Different story than accepting or can I live with it. Embracing means that, okay, this is a decision I'm making. So every time he or she does that, I'm going to remind myself, this is a decision that I'm making, and I'm going to love them for it. It's on me now. And so that means I'm not bringing it up again. I'm not going to nag them about it. That's done. If I get upset by it, I'll just deal with myself because I'm making the decision to be here. Now, I probably won't know those things that I don't like about that person if I'm sexual with them. And especially in the beginning of a relationship, because everything's brand new and shiny and all that. And it's like, and it's not a downer. It doesn't need to be a downer. You think about, I'm learning who this person is, and this person could very well be somebody that I really, really want to have a relationship with. If I don't want to have a relationship with you, if I'm not interested in you, I'm moving on. And I'm letting you go so you can go find somebody that really can embrace you. I don't want you to have to do that with me either. Because after I identify all those things that tweak me or that I don't like, I hope you're doing the same thing. So when you're dating, and once you've decided, because you remember, sex is off the table until you're dating exclusively, all right? This isn't even a conversation you're going to have. When you start dating exclusively, on the day that you're dating exclusively, you say, you know what? Now that we're going to be dating exclusively, I want to let you know that I have what they call a 90-day rule. And that means that for the next 90 days, we're really going to get to know each other. But we're not going to be in the bedroom. We're not going to be sexual. We're not going to be in each other's house. We're going to keep it public, but we're going to talk on a deeper level so that you can get to know me and you can find out all the things you don't like about me, because I know there will be some. And I'm going to get to know you, and I'm going to find out all the things that I don't like about you. And we're going to have fun, because we don't have to sit there and psychoanalyze each other to find this out. We're going to find these things out by doing things that we enjoy doing together. And we're not going to that's not going to put us down. We're just going to say we're on a hike, okay? This is I'm sorry if I offend anybody. I'll just say it in advance. But when I'm hiking, I have allergies extraordinaire. And so sometimes something will get me. And I'll start coughing and sneezing. And in that process, I might even spit some things, right? I might even spit. So if I grossed you out or offended you, I'm sorry. But you will not know that unless you're on a hike with me. And if one of the things that you really liked about me was hiking with me, we probably ought to hike a little bit so you can find out that this is something that just happens. It just happens. I'm not thinking about it consciously. I just know that it does. So if we're hiking and I have an event like this, and, at the end of the hike, you can say, what was that thing back there that happened where you start sneezing and snorting and carrying on all that? What was that about? And I would say, well, I have a lot of allergies. And if you want to know more about that, that's something we can talk about. But I can tell you that when something hits me like that, I don't have any control over it. I try and take care of it. I try and do it. If I'm in a movie theater, I'm probably not going to be doing that. But and it can happen in a movie theater if you live with a lot of dogs and sit next to me, because then it'll happen to me then. But I will try and behave differently. I'll probably leave the theater for a minute and take care of myself, come back. So, okay, so now you know something about me that you would not know. And, having done marriage counseling, because I also do marriage and family counseling, not a lot, but some, with marriage counseling, usually the things that are, it's like when somebody comes into, I just hate the way they blah, blah, blah. And so I want to get a divorce, or I want, it's like, okay, what's really going on? It's like you get a divorce because of what we call in the marriage and family counseling world, we call the cap off the toothpaste reason, right? Where what you're telling me doesn't make any sense. But what's happened is that over time, there are a lot of things you don't like about this person that have built up and built up and built up. And this is the one thing that you're going to focus on. The chances of that kind of thing happening when you are doing the 90-day rule is less. Okay? Because now there's some things about all of us that, it's like it's just being a human being. I'm busy being a human being. Okay? And when you're busy being a human being, you burp, you fart, you do things that, people will find offensive, and yet everybody does it. And so you just want to know, how do you take care of yourself? As like you and not judge people for being human beings. But there are things that, really might trip you up. And then here's the deal. It's like, it's not like you must change all these things. That might be true. You might be kind of a perfectionist and say, well, if you're going to have an allergy attack and, do that thing, well, I don't want to be around you. Okay. If that's all it takes, you really weren't that interested in me anyway. But you might say, okay, well, there's something about her that kind of shocked me and I don't love, but I'll embrace it because that's how it is for her. Okay. Now, if you say to me, I don't like that you blow your nose in public places, I might consider that and say, well, okay, I guess I can say, as long as I'm not having a sneezing event, I could probably manage that. I'll try. I could try. You're not asking me to change who I am. Okay? You're not asking me to change who I am. You might say, I don't like your hair. Oh, well, it comes with the product, okay? My hair is my hair. And, gee, that's too bad. No, I'm not going to put chemicals on it. No, I'm not. And that just might be me. Somebody else might feel differently. But if it's me, I would say, that's just how I come, right? It's like, this is it. This is how it is. You might say, well, I can embrace that. Or you might say, I can't look at that every day. But guess what? It's on you. It's not on me. I might be the same. Okay? I might say, I just, it's like, say I'm going out with a guy. Not happening, but let's say I am. And, you have facial hair. And I might say, I'm not really crazy about facial hair. And you might say, well, this is really important to me. And I might say, tell me about why it's really important to you. I'd really like to know what's behind that. And you might say, well, I had, just bear with me, okay? So you might say, well, I had go to chemotherapy for about 2 years and I had no hair. Eyelashes, everything gone. And so now when I look at my facial hair, I think, God, I'm really well. I'm not sick anymore. Okay, I'm good with that. I'll accommodate that. I'll embrace that. If you say, it makes me feel like a man, I'll say, well, okay, that's fine. That you can grow hair that you're not even in charge of, and that makes you feel like a man. And that might not work for me because that might tell me other things that I might not like. All right? Pay attention. And one of the things that you might discover for yourself is that you're too desperate. And so you might back up and say, why do I feel so desperate? Well, because there aren't enough people in the world. Oh, trust me, there really are enough people in the world. And you might have to be patient. One of the things I've discovered in my own life is that when I least expected it, when I wasn't looking for it, I was just living my life. That's when I got into my relationship where I ended up being married. That sounds like I ended up in jail, but I made that decision myself. But I wasn't looking for it. Now, people I know that and love and care about find their partners online because they get lonely and they decide, I think I want to date. And so they do that. And because we're all human beings, no matter how we find each other. But if you practice the 90-day rule, the chances of finding somebody that you can really spend your life with even go up because you don't get blinded. Now, if you're 18 or 19 or something, that might be different. I'm talking about adults. The 90-day rule, let me just review here. You are finding out who you're with, and you want them to find out who they're with. And if they never ask anything about you, move on, because that'll be your life. And you'll be in my office saying, he or she never asks anything about me. It's always about them. Did they ask about you before? No. But I thought it would change once we got married or no, it just enhances. All right. So all those things get enhanced because now, we're in it. I don't have to put on my best for you anymore. And I think that's wrong anyway. I think you should put your best on for everyone. I mean, what the heck? You're not, you got to wake up and do something and appear somehow every single day of your life. You might as well do it in the best way possible. So 90-day rule, I just want to end by saying that I've had most of the time, I would say all the time, since I have talked to people about how it's impacted them in their dating life, every single one has said, after 90 days, we thought we're really having fun and we're really getting to know each other. And now, whether or not we have sex right now isn't the most important thing. We want to get to know each other even more. And they've all ended up together. Some of them after the 90-day rule goes, geez, we're just not clicking. Like you, think it's fun, blah, 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 but there's something that's not working. So we'll just go our separate ways. Some was like, I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody who is on call because all of a sudden you're gone. And that's not somebody being a jerk. It's just their chosen profession. So you see, when you're an adult, you can ask these questions, you can consider them, and then you can decide whether or not you want to move forward. But let me tell you, we're all human beings. We're not perfect. It's the nature of the beast. We're absolutely not perfect. So you say, is this something I can embrace or not? And only do it after the 90-day rule. Okay, well, I might review this a little bit next time because it's a lot of information. And so right now, practice the 90-day rule. Just don't go there. We'll talk more.
Thank you for listening to Healing Your Family Legacy here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible because of listeners just like you. If you would like to support the channel with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. Healing Your Family Legacy is copyright 2024, Dr. Donna Bevan-Lee, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.
Hey friends, Sean here, your Experience of the Soul producer. I want to take a moment to tell you about something truly exciting. The SoulWorks online community, created by your host, Cynthia Alice Anderson, and available on the Mighty Networks app. If you're looking for a place where you can explore your spiritual path, connect with others, and grow in a meaningful way, then this is for you. SoulWorks is so much more than an online community. It's a safe, inclusive space for spiritual exploration, self-discovery, and personal transformation. Inside the community, you'll find everything from uplifting spiritual studies to soul-centered growth practices, meditations, affirmations, and so much more. It's a space where you'll always be supported and never judged. The best part, membership is free. You'll have access to powerful resources, inspiring content, and a supportive group of like-minded people who are all on their own unique spiritual journeys. And if you're ready to dive deeper, there are premium options available to enhance your experience with a live Monday night talk series and extended, deeper meditations. If you're seeking a place to connect, grow, and nurture your soul, we would love to have you join us in the SoulWorks community and see where this journey can take you. Visit my.soulworkscommunity.com today.